Very good morning, students. I'm Daizy Sharma TGT English from Jainvi, Yamnanagar. Today, we shall be taking up a new topic which is very interesting and which I have been emphasizing since I joined Navodaya Samiti. It is developing stories, and which is the most important topic in writing skills. What I believe is, if you have very good proficiency in writing English, you are bound to score not only good marks in your examinations, but also you can prepare well for your competitive exams. Before I start, I wish to let you know that this has a lot of significance in developing not only your writing skills but other integrated skills as well. If you are good at developing stories, if you can make an extra effort to achieve the perfection or the mastery in writing English, it will take you to a long way. Because most of the students in languages are unable to express themselves in correct English. So if you can narrate them well in the classrooms, if you can write them well in the classrooms, obviously it is going to eventually help you in the coming years. So, first, I would like to discuss the elements of the story. Amongst all the elements of the story, I would first like to take up the plot of the story, which needs the beginning, middle, and the end. The skillful stories typically have a straightforward plot, and they also manage to surprise the reader with a plot twist that create interest in the plot structure. The standard plot structure consists of 5 main elements. Exposition, which means the introduction of the character and the setting. Then comes the rising action, something that changes, the character meets the challenges and the crisis. Then the climax, the turning point and the most exciting part of the story, falling action, events that follow as a result of the climax. Then we come to the next one, which is resolution, the end that occurs after the conflict is resolved and a character has changed. Every story varies in its sequence of events and how long the character spends in various steps. That being said, the most successful stories keep the plot moving at a steady pace that leads to a satisfying resolution. Now we come to the next one, which is character. So the characters either can be complex, relatable characters that you can correlate with, important to a good story, and the writer can create these types of characters by understanding the character types and the character traits. Now let us come to the character types. Each of the types of character in the story contributes to the plot, but in a very different way. The protagonist is the main character whose journey we follow throughout the story. The antagonist, sometimes known as the foil, the character whose goals come up against the protagonist, leading to conflict. Then comes the dynamic character, a character who changes as a result of the events of the story. And then the static character, a character who does not change during the course of the story. So the last two are very, very important. If you see your character has transformed a bit or maybe in a drastic way, you can call him a dynamic character. And if he does not change throughout the story, his personality trait does not change, He does not transform anyway. You can call him the static character. Then we come up to the next one, that is character traits. How a character will react to the events in the plot depends on his or her characterization or the character traits. These character traits help the reader to understand the character's personality and motivation. Example, in Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, Elizabeth Bennet dialogue and the behavior show that she is witty, discerning and playful. We can then predict how she will react when Mr. Darcy invites her to dance. The next one is setting of a story. So where and when the story occurs can affect what characters do, how their plots unfold, and whether the reader can connect with the author's choices. Consider the two main types of setting when writing or reading a short story. And then we come to the backdrop settings. This type of setting can be the backdrop for almost any story. The time period and the physical place don't affect the plot in a major way. Example, most fairy tales take place in a distant kingdom during the Renaissance period. However, the themes of these stories do not depend on their backdrop. Integral setting, it is a setting with a time and a place that directly affects the plot. Alternatively, the story depends on that setting as an integral element. Example, the characters in William Golding's Lord of Flies create a story in the deserted island where their plane has crashed. Then conflict in story writing. The point where the protagonist and the antagonist interests collide is conflict. There are many types of conflicts found in the different stories, but they can be broadly categorized as external conflict and internal conflict. The external conflict exists between the character and something else, like another character, nature, society, or fate outside the character's control, and he or she must resolve the conflict during the rising action or climax of the story. Example, the stepmother in Cinderella sabotages Cinderella's chance to attend the royal ball. Then is the internal conflict. The internal conflict occurs when a character struggles with something within themselves, such as fear or insecurity. Resolving internal conflict allows the character to develop in a dynamic way. Example, Fyodor Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment follows Raskolnikov's deep guilt and internal torment after he commits a terrible crime. The most important one that we are going to discuss now is the element that is theme, one of your identity. A story plot, setting, characters and conflicts, you can work on the finding its theme. The theme is a story's big idea or underlying message about the life. It can be one word that embodies what a story is trying to say, or it can be longer phrase. The thematic motifs, sometimes you can find the clues of the story's theme in its motifs, which are repeated images, sounds, words, feelings, or other story elements. The theme of a story is not the same as its subject, which is the actual topic of the story. Point of view. Even though the main character is the central figure of the story, the point of view of a story may not be theirs. Sometimes a story has a narrator to tell the story. First person, in the first person point of view, the person telling the story is a character, usually the main character, but not always, and speaks from an I perspective. For example, today I wish I was 102 instead of 11, because if I was 102, I'd have known what to say when Mrs. Price put the red sweater on my desk. A second person point of view allows the reader to experience the story through a you perspective. The point of view is not as common as first and third person points of view. You are deep sea explorer searching for the famed lost city of Atlantis. This is your most challenging and dangerous mission. The third person narrator tells a story that is happening to the other people. A narrator can be omniscient, where they know about all the events and characters, or limited, where they follow only one or a few characters. The tone also plays a vital role, and it is the final element of the story. A tone is general feeling of a story or a scene which the author establishes with vivid word choice. All of the previous elements must be consistent in order to achieve the desired tone. And now I shall be giving you a few formats to develop the story. You can have a glimpse of all those formats and choose any one of your choice to develop the story and submit it by tomorrow morning.